Davis. You have nothing to worry about.
Hey, you know what? You're right, Cole. Let's go ahead and why don't you introduce the next act?
Want me to introduce it with jazz hands?
Absolutely, with jazz hands.
Up next is Grace Gutierrez performing an original piece titled How to Get Lucky Professionally.
Summer camp, I asked a professional writer how I could grow up to become a professional poet. This incident took place during a lecture, so there wasn't really anywhere to hide when the room started laughing. This professional writer looked at me, a stupid 17-year-old with ink on my arms and shaking fingers, and told me that nobody really cares that much about poetry anymore, and to make a living off of it, I should get lucky. Sure. Is that it? I have been getting lucky ever since the first time I opened up my lungs and invited the world inside and when my chest fell, I exhaled poetry. Living off of it is easier than you might think because I've had days where I could barely muster up the energy to take in air, but the fire in my ribcage needed oxygen to keep burning. I've been lucky ever since my words first made a grown man cry. I don't have to lay a finger on anyone to touch them. I can use the power of language to bring audiences to their knees, but in poetry, we raise each other up. That professional writer probably saw me, a stupid 17-year-old with ink on my arms and shaking fingers, and laughed because in me, he saw something childish. Something naive and silly. He saw a dreamer and didn't realize that that's something that I had to fight for. My fingers were trembling because until that question left my mouth, I was safe. From judgment, from skepticism, I was closed off, but I took a risk and opened myself to a lecture hall, exposing my dreams for everyone to see and examine. I had so much faith in everyone's faith in me that I laid myself bare and everyone laughed, and it's okay. It happens. The reason why I write my poetry on my skin is because it's already a part of me. I already know the words, and I'm not doing this for myself. I want everyone to know that people do care, that there are people who will listen, that my passion is not worthless, my voice is not worthless. That being said, I know that I've never been particularly good at making myself heard, especially in front of my peers. I asked 4 or 5 questions in my math class last year, and most of them started with the word sorry. But that's why poetry is so important to me. It gives me a reason to get on stage in front of a microphone and let everyone know that I'm here. I don't want to be ashamed for taking up space, and yeah, sure, maybe that professional writer, a little older and a little wiser than I am. But isn't the purpose of the adult working world to give something back? To provide a service? Poetry is all that I have to give. So, you think I should get lucky, huh? Let me share a professional secret with you. Poetry was never about luck. It's about opening up your lungs and inviting the world into your every breath, because you have to be vulnerable first before you can fully appreciate everything that the world has to offer you. It's about breaking down your walls in front of a crowd full of strangers and giving them the rubble and the dust that's left and challenging them to make something new. And yeah, sure, maybe that professional writer was a little bit older and a little bit wiser than I am, but if some kid, say age 17 years old, bearing the scars of their craft on their skin, came up to me and asked me for the secret to being a successful artist of any kind, I'd simply tell them to open their eyes. If you can see yourself 30 years from now doing literally anything else, go into a different field. But if your feet exist for dancing, if your fingers were made only to hold a paintbrush, if you write, see, and breathe in poetry, then, hey, you're lucky enough by my standards. And kid, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.